Hi, my name is Alyson Beecher and I'm an educator, literacy specialist, and the host of the Nonfiction Picture Book Challenge on the blog Kidlit Frenzy. I was asked to share some ideas for how teachers may use Candace Fleming's new book, The Rise and Fall of Charles Lindbergh. Here are some ideas that I came up with that can be used in the classroom. One idea was to create a radio or newspaper style report by having students work in small groups to select an event in Lindbergh's life that's highlighted in the book. Students can create news report for radio or newspaper in the style of, say, the 1920s or 30s. Another option would be to take that same event and put a twist on it and make it for TV or like an entertainment news show in modern day. Another option would be a podcast. In recent years, I've become an avid listener of history podcasts. I love the way the hosts talk about the lives of the individuals being featured on the podcast. The back and forth banter, quips, and jokes draw in the listener and bring both individual and historical events to life. Two students can work together to create their own podcast focused on Lindbergh and events in his life. Another way is teachers can focus on mentor texts. What does that mean? Every author utilizes a variety of writing techniques in order to write a book. From the choice of quotes at the start of the sections, to chapter titles, to the decision to have a part 1, The Rise, and part 2, The Fall, are all craft moves that Fleming uses to lay out the information about Lindbergh. Teachers can highlight specific craft moves and invite students to try these same moves in their own writing. Another option would be looking at the primary sources and secondary sources. Many students don't always like the research part of a paper or a report. But in the bibliography, Fleming lists her primary and secondary sources and source notes for the research she did. It's a pretty impressive list, given that many students may simply want to look at Google or Wikipedia when working on a research paper. A review of these sources and a closer look at some of them, as well as how Fleming used them in the book, can help students gain new perspective on research. And a final thought was using a keep and eliminate idea. As much as a writer tries to be objective when writing nonfiction, these are the choices that there are choices that the author makes during the writing process. One of the things that fascinates me is how authors decide what lens to use when deciding what information to include and what information to delete. Fleming had to make a lot of decisions about the information and the facts that were essential to the narrative of Lindbergh's life that could be looked at to understand his strengths and also to understand the parts of his life that maybe were not so shiny. Going back to the primary and secondary sources, students can compare the selections that Fleming included and why she may have left some things out. I hope these ideas inspire teachers to read and share The Rise and Fall of Charles Lindbergh with their students and to provide a jumping off place on how to incorporate it into the classroom.